Okay, so a lot of people out there are saying that we lost as a Second Amendment community. Yes, but there's an asterisk attached to it. It's kind of difficult. We lost a battle. We did not lose the war. The war is still going. We lost a fight. The fight was to get the NFA effectively gutted and removed through the reconciliation process, as the NFA is a tax. And because of a liberal hack, unelected official in the Senate called a parliamentarian, aka Elizabeth McDonough, who doesn't understand that without the tax, you can't have the registration. The registration existed for the sole purpose of collecting the tax. She didn't understand that by removing one, you're effectively going to be removing both, and you have to remove both. That was written by the Supreme Court back shortly after the passage of the NFA in the first place. And that's why people like Christopher Murphy were flipping their fucking lid and trying to get a $1 tax instated to preserve the NFA, because he knew that with the current language that was passed, the NFA is going to get gutted. More or less. Well, the parts of it we want gone are going to be gutted. And here's kind of how we have to go about doing that now, because she was too much of a partisan hack to actually do it right and realizing the language of the Supreme Court. So, before we get into that, I'd like to give props to somebody who's been a massive firebrand for the Second Amendment community, but at the end of the day, we all knew he was going to cave. Okay? Because you really kind of didn't have a choice. And there are some hardliners out there saying we needed to not pass the bill if it didn't have what we wanted in it. I agree, but hear me out. And I'm going to throw this in as a what if, and there's going to be a whole lot of people telling me to myself on this what if. But there's a little bit of truth to it if you stop and think about it. We send it back to the parliamentarian with a new language in it, and she just outright rejects the bill as whole, and you override the parliamentarian, and then you end up having to fight in the Senate for weeks, probably even months, over one reconciliation bill. And it's only one part of a much bigger bill. Okay. What would happen then is you would leave open anywhere from a few weeks to a few months to drive an already backstabby from the GOP situation and give them more opportunities to continue to stab us in the back further by even going so far as to outright remove the Second Amendment language from the bill altogether. And if you think they won't, you haven't been paying attention. Back when Harry Reid was still in office, the GOP, and if you don't think any of these old hardline GOP fanatics are still like this, and if you think that the gun vote matters to them enough to where they'll actually do a thing, they're more worried about issues like the Democrats trying to trans your fucking kids behind your back. That's their priority right now. And immigration. The Second Amendment has never really been a priority for the GOP to begin with. We asked them to. We came to them. And every time we've come to them, over the last 91 years, we've gotten stabbed in the spine repeatedly. This is no different. Don't get me wrong. But, do you want to send it back to the Senate where there are way more rhinos, way fewer people willing to fight for you and I and our rights, or take the language that we have and run with it and try to collapse the NFA the other way? Because the GOA is already on top of it, I guarantee you. Them and the FPC, that lawsuit printer is probably going burr right now. And if you think there aren't people in jail for things related to the NFA, I know of one guy who's in there related to something connected to the GCA and the machine gun control thing, and I would very highly advocate for him getting his freedom, which is part of the reason why I'm out here doing this. I want Matt Hoover to be released from prison. His family doesn't deserve this, all because he and a friend made one fucking mistake. He gets to sit in jail. Fuck off. That's what I have to say about that. Now, I'm sure there's a bunch of other financial bullshit that I'm sure could just be knocked down to a fine, but anyway, that's a different topic. Different topic, but free, hashtag free Matt Hoover. And also free FPS Russia. I never knew his real name, and I kind of wish I did, but anyway. I've been involved with guns since I was a kid. I am now in my mid-30s. That's right, I'm over 33 years old. Which means that for a third of my life, I have had to watch the GOP stab the gun owners in the back and watch the Democrats in the left stab gun owners in the front. I'm going to tell you a little secret. This is probably the biggest and best opening that we've had in fucking generations. I get that it hurts that it's not exactly word for word what you fucking wanted, and I agree, it's not what I wanted either. I wanted the entirety of the NFA gone. I wanted the GCA gone. I wanted to be able to go to the store and buy a double-barrel shotgun like it was a fucking plumbing supply again. Okay? That's not how it's going to work, unfortunately. It's going to take a lot of time. Probably more time than I have on this earth, if I'm being honest. Because the NFA is just one of two pieces of the equation, and it is the easier of the two to remove. Let me explain that one. Even if we get all of the stuff off of the NFA that we want off of the NFA, the one item that we're going to have a hard time with is anything that fires more than one round per event of pulling the trigger and resetting it. Any 3-round bursts or machine guns are going to be really hard to get back. They really are. And here's why. Unless we end up with a supermajority in the Senate, the Congress, and control of the White House, as well as nailing down the Supreme Court and maintaining the Supreme Court, which means that, no offense to Amy Coney Barrett, but maybe finding someone who's a little bit more amenable to the Second Amendment. Without someone like that, we're just going to be sitting and spinning our wheels for a little bit. Now, what did we get out of this? Well, we found someone in the House of Representatives who actually seems to give a shit. What a surprise. You know, he didn't have to put his career up on the fucking chopping block and say, fuck you, no, for as long as he did. He could have caved instantly and said, it's not worth me losing my job. But I'll give him props where props are due. Rep. Andrew Clyde did stand up for the Second Amendment. Did he stand firm through thick and thin? No. But him just standing up and saying the quiet part out fucking loud was really more than we can expect from most of the GOP. The fact that he said it. He said the thing right here. Now, what I'd actually like for him to do is to get up on national TV and explain on a national news service and a podcast his position and why it matters. 100%. And he says he's an ardent defender of Second Amendment liberties. I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't entirely agree either. If you're going to use a word like ardent defender, if you're going to use that kind of wording, you shouldn't turn and vote for the bill in the first place, because ardent doesn't mean what you think it does. If you're going to use a word, strategic makes more sense. But that's being too nitpicky. I responded to him, and this is what I have to say. This is why we fight. The more on our side, the more people, the more press coverage, the more people are actually discussing this, the better. Okay? The more events and people on our side, the more attention we draw to the facts. The 91-year infringement, the constant knifing in the back from the GOP, the constant infringements from the left. Educating people, and this is the most important part, people. We have to be out there preaching to the high heavens that these are not just gun owners' rights, they're their rights too. When they're done with the guns, they're going to go after the bows and the arrows. They're going to go after the knives. They're going to go after the crossbows and the slingshots. They're going to go after the air guns. They're going to go after the flamethrowers. They're going to go after anything that they deem even a little bit dangerous, because the Democrats are, in fact, the definition of nanny statist son of a bitches who do not have the right to tell us what we can and cannot defend ourselves with. But they think that they can. That is what we are really up against here. And that is what we need to be preaching to the high heavens. Win or lose, we don't lose without going down kicking and fucking screaming. So go on ahead. American Firearms, go out there. Scream at them that this is not a win, because it's not. Tell them why we're fighting. Tell them that it's their rights too. Inform them of the fucking facts. If you are a United States citizen, naturalized or born, you have the right to bear arms. Period. Bar none. And that right shall not be infringed. These words need to echo off of every fucking mountain in this country at this fucking point. I get it. It's really easy to sit here and bitch about losing one fucking vote on a bill that you wanted worded a certain way. I understand that. I do. It sucks. It's like the 10th time in my lifetime I've had to watch it fucking happen. Okay? The difference is before then, I didn't have a voice, I didn't have a platform, and X, when I was last in this particular situation, platforms like X didn't exist, and MySpace was, to put it in a very dirty colloquial method, was not even a twinkle in my daddy's fucking eye at that point. Okay? It wasn't even born yet. Literally, the assault weapons ban in 94. Okay? Literally, that is what we're fighting against happening in the future. All of these things need to come to a head in the Supreme Court, and they need to be deemed 100% a violation of constitutional doctrine right down to their very bones. In other words, we have to do the equivalent of not just dumping a little bit of napalm and lighting a match, but grabbing onto a flamethrower with a 50-gallon tank attached to it and lighting that bitch up until there's nothing but fucking dust remaining. You understand that? We have to make it not only impossible for the Democrats to bring a bill forward in the future, but we need to make it culturally unpalatable, period, for anyone to consider on infringing upon American citizens, born here or naturalized, right to keep and bear arms and defend themselves. We need to make sure that bills that are brought up in that fashion need to be not only struck down, but cost them votes every time they say the word gun control. If you want to secure the Second Amendment legacy for future generations, that's what it's going to require doing. People like Braden, they're doing fantastic work. Brandon Herrera, fantastic work. Despite their backstabbishness in this particular situation, I'd argue that people like the GOA, FPC, and others have done a good job as well. But I don't care if you're left, right, and center. This is not a partisan issue. The Second Amendment, and I'm going to pull it up so I don't accidentally screw up the verbiage of it. Okay. See if it actually has. Yep. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. We need to make sure that just like with the First Amendment, or even hinting at infringing on the First Amendment has massive repercussions, we need to have the same result for the Second Amendment. In fact, I'd argue as a constitutionalist, all of them need to have the same repercussions culturally. If you want to infringe on the Second Amendment right, you have to look at it very fucking carefully and realize that we need to keep the nuance, but we need to throw out the bullshit. We need to put the hammer down hard. Okay? Not just putting it down, you need to slam it down so hard you pretty much break the fucking table, okay? These people need to learn, once and for all, no infringements on our rights will be tolerated, and we will fight tooth and nail. And I said the word fight. We're not at the point where physical violence is even remotely on the table. Even close. We're on stage 1. That's like stage 135. To be clear. No, it's not off the menu, but it's so far down the fucking menu that by the time it even becomes considered, it'll be a meh. We'll already have everything done, assuming we do this right. And even with the losses and the backstabbings and the constant infringements from the Democrats, we won't even get close to that fucking point. Trust me. We're gonna win this if we do the fucking legwork. I don't care if you do fucking pamphlets from the sky out of a bush plane with the Second Amendment posted all over it and a big fat caption that says these are your rights too. Do it. The more people that learn it, the better. The more people that are educated on these facts, the less we have to fight. The more education you give these people, the more we can have honest debates about it. Put it out there. I mean, for shit's sake, here, I'll show you how easy it is. Copy image. And yes, I know, oh, you're copywriting, blah, blah. I don't give a damn. Ta-da! Take the same image. Go out to your profiles. Do this. Paste. Post. Ta-da! Actually, I'm going to delete that one. Oh, wait. I can edit it. Ah, stupid upgrades. Alright, I'll just delete it and redo it. Watch this. Refresh the page. These are your rights to post. There you go. It took what? 50. All right, it took a minute because I fucked it up, but it takes 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Spread the fucking word. Don't just go into these accounts and, or better yet, do go into those accounts. Drag the image in there. I wish it was easier to do this so you didn't have to retype this every single friggin' time. But, you know, it is what it is. Do these things. Pass the word around. In fact, I'll make it easier on myself. Just skip on Clyde because, he's the one person who actually fought. Go down through the list. GOP, Democrats, it does not matter. Remind them. Every last one. Bombard them. Make it culturally unpalatable for every single account that you see. Inform them. It's a 2-button process. And yes, I know some of this stuff will be off topic. I'm going to skip that account because they're getting dinged in this too. Hit the freaking here. Let them all have it. Write down the list. You get the hint. Just do it. Do it. Take what I just put there and pass it on to every single one of them. Just like a little note in school that says the Second Amendment is their rights too, and the exact verbiage of the Second Amendment. Hit every last one of them and hit them often. While the big dogs are up top fighting with the lawsuits, we need to be down here in the culture in the swamp throwing as many fisticuffs as we can, as fast and as hard as we can. You want to win, that's what it takes. Stop sitting on your rump. I'm doing it with a mouse. It's taking me minutes. Okay? Get out there and do it. I don't care if it violates TOS on Twitter. Sorry, Elon, but these people need to get it through their head. And you do too, by the way, because these are your rights too, and you're going to get one too, buddy. So, get out there. Get the word out. Stop bellyaching about one friggin' loss. We just return to the ground game. If you like the content, hit the like and subscribe buttons. Share the word. The Second Amendment to the letter. Nothing more, nothing less, and nothing less will do. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Tell them all.